have filed an injunction to stop this meeting by not publicly publishing an agenda with any bills, names, etc. And I would suggest that you do not proceed.
Mr. Esrati, you are out of order.
Okay, fine.
I move we approve the bills as presented.
I would second that motion.
Been properly moved and second to approve the bills as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries.
David Esrati, 113 Bonner Street. I've been in this room many times. I've had many discussions with board members, and I have had a pretty good relationship working with Board of Election staff over the years. As you may or may not be aware, I filed a lawsuit today, and it has to do with the way the director and the deputy director respond to public records requests and the way you conduct your meetings in accordance with the Ohio Sunshine Laws. This is not an agenda, and I've brought this up multiple times before, that an agenda for a public body should give the public information so that they can see what you are going to discuss or what you're going to vote on. We can't read your minds. We can't guess at what you passed today when you passed a motion to approve current bills. The public has no idea what money you spent. Case in point, I did a public records request mid-January asking for the RFP, the contract, and payments made to the former director of the Board of Elections, Mr. Steve Harsman, who this Board of Elections apparently hired to redraw all the precinct maps. I still do not have the answer for that, and it's been over a month. I understand that nobody elects you from the general public. You are placed in power by your respective political parties. This is a problem in the state of Ohio because whether you like it or not, there are more people who are not a member of either party that are registered voters than there are Democrats or Republicans. All those, as you call them, unclassified voters have no representation here, and that's why we have to expect better from you if you either party wants to gain an advantage through fair and open voting, which again comes down to that's the most important thing that you do here. You try to instill faith that this organization can run an election and run it properly. So, I have brought this up before, and once again we see a problem. But if petitions are failing, blaming the candidates is not appropriate when you've got a 10% fail rate or a 5% fail rate. The petitions are badly worded, badly designed, and they are failing because they are inadequate. Just the fact that the paper size was set wrong for a petition that looks like it should fit on an 8.5 by 11, because it doesn't fit on a legal size, and those are two standard sizes in this country, is a fault of you and the Secretary of State. That should not be allowed to happen. And since graphology is not accepted in the state of Ohio or in the entire country as a legal standard, determining people's signature qualifications based on a signature, there is nobody here that is qualified to do that. All petitions should have printed name and the signature. Printed name and a signature spot at a minimum to reduce the confusion. because some people sign their name and it looks printed. Some people sign with an X. So if they just put their signature there, how do you tell one X from another X? So we really need to look at the petition design. Now, I imagine some of the response you got talking about the certification of these petitions and about how they had to work late and they could not provide them to me when I made a public records request on Friday of who you were going to certify and who you were not going to certify. And they're talking about their database. Well, I'm not a mortician like McLean or Mr. Rousaw. I build websites and deal with databases and deal with user interface for a living. And I can tell you that the cluster doc, that's with a D, in case you think I was swearing here, of this election, and the question of being able to look up online what precinct you are in now, what precinct you are in after the new precinct maps, is not a question of two different databases. It's a question of a column, an additional column in a database. That's all. You could have had both fields. Your precinct now, your precinct after X date, and they could have both been displayed on the voter lookup on the website. And on the precinct maps, again, one precinct map for pre, one precinct map for post. So there is no reason these things should have had to not be accessible and easily available for candidates, other than we don't have competent people putting these things together. If we had competent people putting these things together a long time ago, we would have taken the county property records and cross-referenced them so that we actually had latitude and longitude, that we had geocoded every household, and your map making would be very simple. And when candidates are looking for the voter data, that they actually can get those geocodes. So a mobile device can say, you're here right now at the corner of Bonner and Adams. 100 Bonner is in your precinct, and David lives there. We don't include that. So a lot of candidates spend a lot of money buying that data appended over and over for something that doesn't change. There are lots of things you could improve if you had put that request out publicly instead of hiring Steve Harsman without knowing us, because he's the guy that screwed it up in the first place, probably, because it hasn't been right for a long time. The issue used to have them enter in the database if somebody voted in person at a polling place, it would be a capital X. And if you voted absentee, it would be a lowercase x. Well, no, that's not how you do this. You know why? Because in a voter database, when you're searching it, it can't tell the difference between an uppercase character and a lowercase character. It just returns X. Therefore, the proper way is, did they vote? X. And a second column, did they vote in person or absentee? Separate columns, or person P, absentee A. That's how you do this. Needless to say, I hope that this board can make an improvement on their future agendas instead of doing the copy and paste. What you were running today was more akin to the Oscar Awards than it was to a public meeting, where you kept a secret from the public of who was going to be on the ballot or not being on the ballot. I hate to tell you folks, this ain't the Oscars. This is a public meeting of a public body concerning something that Americans put the highest amount of trust in, and yet you don't trust them with information in advance of your meeting. So, I hope you reconsider your actions, and I hope you understand that I'm not here to piss people off I'm not here to make money because it takes an awful lot of time for me to write a legal brief compared to what it would take Judge Blaine to write a legal brief. And I don't know what I'm doing, but we need clarity in the state of Ohio as to how these things are handled and held, and how agendas are constructed, and how the public is informed, and how people actually get on the ballots. Because rejecting people who want to participate in this process should be the last thing that this organization is involved in. There's an awful lot of Americans who feel left out of the process, and you shouldn't be a part of why they feel that way. I thank you for your time. I hope you listened. Unfortunately, we will see you in court, but hopefully in the end, the voters of Montgomery County get better candidates, fairer elections, better informed voters, and we have open, honest, transparent government. Can I answer any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be March the 8th at 3 p.m. and then following that, scheduled meeting will be March the 15th, 2022 at 8:30 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
It's been properly moved and second to adjourn this Montgomery County Board of Elections meeting February the 14th, 2022. Happy Valentine's Day. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the motion carries.
Good night, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Council.